Hi everybody, welcome back. How's everybody doing? In this tutorial, I wanted to show you how to create a financial dashboard in pure Python. So a lot of you have asked me, Adam, can you please create a dashboard from the beginning all the way to the end, like from A to Z? And some of you have said that you were really interested in financial dashboard. So thank you, Alta, for offering this website. This is a cool website, and what we're going to do today is replicate one of these cards. So we're going to go in here and we'll see how we download a logo of a company, how we change the text here, and how this will change in color. The graph will be green or red if the price of the stock goes up or down, and also these boxes will change as the numbers go up and down. Specifically, we are going to create this card. This is a Dash Bootstrap card. And you'll see if we start from the bottom, how the numbers will change in color. The box here will change in color every 5 seconds if the stock goes up, or the stock price will go up or down. And this graph is also red because the daily change is negative, and this represents the daily change. And we'll also put this logo on there. So we're going to do most of this today, half of this today, and then the other half next week. I'll try and do live so I can answer any questions you might have, because my goal is that you learn how to create pure web analytic or data analytic web apps in Python. And that's what we can do with Dash Plotly. Okay. So to follow along, to best follow along, go in the link under the video and you'll go into this page right here, which is what we're going to cover today. All right. If you have questions on the video, please ask the question in the comments, and I will do my best to help you. All right, so I'm going to create a new, I did some practice, so I'll do this good for you, but I'm going to create a new Python file. We'll call it part 1, and we'll close this and we'll start. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is obviously import the libraries. These are all the libraries that you're going to need to create this cool dashboard like this. These are the 3 things you need. There's like 10 libraries here, or 9. You only need to install these 3 if you don't have them, right? So go into terminal and just copy paste pip install dash and those 3 into here, into your project, so you can get started. All right, so assuming you have all the libraries set up, let's click enter and go to the next line. The next line is connecting, let's see, from our GitHub, connecting to our API. We're going to use Alpha Vantage to connect to API financial data, so we can download data from the stock market on any company that we would like. So I'm going to put this link under the video as well. Go to this link and just claim your key. You need a key which is free. So choose your describe yourself however you want to describe yourself. I don't think you need this. Put your email address here. Hopefully you're not a robot, and just click to get a free API. You'll get that after I think you confirm an email. So once you get that, just copy paste this right here, all this that's hashtagged out. Copy paste that from the GitHub and put it into our new file. All right, let's do this together. It's a lot easier when we do this together. So in this first step is right here, hashtag this out, where please put your key that you created, and don't use my key. If you do use my key, please support me on YouTube or Patreon. And then now you have your key in here, and now we're going to go into this. So this, I just created this code so you can have it, so you don't have to spend 5 hours just filtering the data like I did, because I'm slow. But this is using the Alpha Vantage repository on GitHub or library. And what we're doing is pretty much we're using the key to pull a time series in the pandas format from the API, and this is where we're pulling from the API. So we're going to pull a compact information. We're only going to pull like 400 rows, not everything, and we're going to pull every 1 minute is the interval, and we're going to pull Tata Motors. Tata Motors is this this company that we're going to pull from the stock market. If you want to pull Google, just do G OOGL, sorry, L, or if you want to put Macy's, that's a big retail store in the United States, just put M. But stay with TT Motors for now, so we can follow along a lot easier. And you're going to get intraday. You're going to get data on a daily basis every 1 minute. Maybe I can take this out. We don't necessarily need to make 50 slices. We can make the whole thing. We're making a data frame here. Then we're just transposing, renaming columns, melting, and then changing the main column name to taking out a few more things. And this is just so the database is a lot is formatted in a way that's easier to work with and easier to plot graphs with. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. You can do it your own way, but this makes it easier. And you can print. You should actually print and see what comes out. Print df head and see what comes out. Let's print the first 10, right? So now if you run this with me, run part 1. Let's see what we get. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you can see. And then here, head. All right, let's run it again. And you'll see that this is the data that you get from Tata Motors on, I got it from, this is from yesterday because they don't give it live. APIs live will cost you a little bit of money. So this is from yesterday. And you'll see you get the latest time, and it goes back to the earliest time of the 7th of yesterday of January. So this is how the data is going to look like. You'll see here the indicators, open, high. We're going to use the high price, date, and rate. What is the rate of that stock? What's the stock price? Okay, so we have that. Close that. And now this is, you're actually making a call for the API. What I would recommend you do is you do this and you save it one time, save it into data 3, save it into a CSV format. So we run this again. And when we run this, it's going to exit after it saves, and it's saving it into a data3.csv sheet, which is going to be inside your project folder. Your project folder is right here. And now I saved it as data3 CSV. Now this is here, which you can see right here, data3. And this is an Excel sheet that we just printed out. I would recommend you do that because it will, it doesn't, as you build a Dash app, you are working with data, and you don't want to overwhelm the API. You can only make 5 API requests per minute with a free key. So just ask it once and then just pull from the CSV to work with the CSV data. Okay, so here's all our data. All right, so we have our CSV. In our case, I'm just going to go into GitHub, and to make it easier so you can actually run this code, I'm just going to pull it from GitHub right here. Let's go here, let's go back. I'm just going to now hashtag all this out because we already did this. Close the project. Okay, hash all this out, and now this was copy pasted from GitHub, right? I'm going to read the data that I downloaded from 2 days ago, from January 6th. It's in my GitHub, and I do it this way. So if you copy paste all this code in GitHub, it's going to work on your computer. All right. So let's see. We're reading the CSV data from GitHub, and then we're just changing the data frame. So we're only taking high values. Everything that is closed or open or low is not going to be in there. We're only going to have the data frame with high indicators, high stock prices. Okay, so once we did that, let's go back to our PyCharm. Make sure this is, yeah, perfect. Once we did that, go back to the row 36 or the next row. And now, simply, we're going to start our Dash app. All right, start the Dash app here, like this. Copy paste everything. This is how you start the app. We're going to use the Bootstrap theme, and this, just copy paste this. This will really never change either. It will allow you your app to be have a responsive layout on mobile phones. So just use that. All right, and now the fun part. Now we're going to build a layout. We're going to build a layout of this Bootstrap card. So we're going to see all of this. So how do we do that? Obviously, you should do app.layout equals, and we're going to use a dbc container. And we're going to open the parentheses, open brackets, and then in here, we're going to create our first row. Our first row component and column component is going to house the whole card. The whole card is going to be inside the first. So all of this is going to be one row, all of this thing. We're going to dbc row, parentheses, open brackets. You don't always need the brackets, but I like to add them just in case. I want to add more later, more components inside. dbc and always dbc column, right? Open parentheses, brackets again. And inside here, we're going to put our card, all right? So the card is going to be dbc card. And inside the card, there we go. And inside the card, we're going to have a few things inside the card. Let's see what we have here. We have our card image. We're going to put on top the image, which is like a row. And then we're going to have 4 rows. 1 row for here, 2nd row for this one, and the 3rd row for the buttons, and the 4th row for the text. So let's build that. Let's first put the dbc card image, open parentheses. That's going to be inside of here. And then under that card image, we're going to put the card body. Come on. Card image, we're going to put the dbc card body, parentheses, and bracket. Image does not have brackets like this, but the card body does. All right, so we have inside the card, we have our card image. We're going to put something in there. And inside the card body, remember, we're going to put 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's do that. Let's put 4 rows, dbc, and we'll just copy paste the rows. dbc row with brackets, like that. We'll do copy, comma. Always add the commas. I always forget the commas. Comma, comma, and comma. So we have 4 different rows. In the first row, every row needs column components, right? So in the first row, we're going to have 2 column components, this one and this one for the column components. So we'll put dbc in the first row, dbc column, like this, and we'll just copy paste and we'll do that again. Comma, don't forget the damn comma. dbc column, and later we'll define here, we'll define the width of the columns to see how many columns we want to give it, but we need 2 column components for the first 2 things. In the second row, we only need 1 column component, and we only need 1 column component in the second row because we're only putting the graph in here. We're not putting 2 separate things, only 1 graph. And here in the buttons, we need 2 column components. And here for the text, for the last row, we also need 2 column components because we have 2 separate items. So let's do that. Let's copy paste the column components right here. 3rd row, 2 column components. And the 4th row, another 2 column components. All right, so now that we have our rows and columns, let's start putting in there the images and the empty graphs and the text. So in the first card image, we're going to go to the card image right here. Oops, GitHub. And in the first card image, you want to put this. We'll copy paste this right here. So we're going to put the card image on top. We're going to style it so it's 6 rems wide, and we're going to pull it from the source. So you need to have an assets folder, and you need to have the tata.png picture in there so it can actually work. So you see how if I open my GitHub here, you'll see that in the same folder, in the finance folder, I have the app that I'm building right now, and I have an assets folder. So you need that assets folder, put inside the and you have to spell it assets, and then just put inside the Tata PNG or any other image you wanna have inside of there. Okay, so you have that inside. I don't know why it didn't show. Okay, this is IBM. So you'll have the Tata.png, and then that will work and it will pull it automatically from there. All right. And in the next, in the body, we're going to put this text, an HTML text, and then this is actually a graph. This is called an indicator in Plotly, and you can see here all the indicators in Python Plotly that you can use with Plotly, right? And we're specifically going to use just this indicator, like the percentage points and the delta, the arrows. So let's do that. Let's go to the GitHub, go to our file. This is under the video, and we will, under the card image, in the first row, we're going to have these two columns with the components. So just copy that like that, and then go here. I'm just going to go over the columns again so I can repeat it. And I'm copying and pasting. So I see the first column component is going to have this text in it, and HTML allows us to put text. And the second column component is going to have a graph component that's called indicator graph. Now it's going to be empty. There's not going to be anything in there. So if I run part one, if I run this app, you'll see we should see the image, and we should see an empty graph and this text right there. That's 1 second. Okay, so we have an error here. Did you forget to wrap multiple children in an array? Oh, so this always happens to me. We forgot to put, we have multiple components. We have the card image and we have the card body inside the DBC card. So this has to be an array. It has to be a string. So we open this, and below we'll actually put, we'll close the brackets. Or is it? I think it's here. Yeah. Okay, so that should work. So now we have our DBC card. Let's actually move this all the way to the left. Perfect. All right, so now let's run it. Let's save it and run it. And what do we get? We won't get anything unless we copy paste the if statement at the very bottom to start our app. So going to GitHub and just copy paste this to start our app. Perfect. Save it. Okay. So now if we go in there like this, you will see that we have our, come on, reload. And you'll see that we have our card that's pretty big right now. Tata at the beginning, change text, and this is a graph. We're going to make it a lot smaller so it looks like this, but for now it's just an empty graph. All right, so let's put the next components. The next component is an empty line graph and these buttons and text. So going to the GitHub, copy paste the next row, the second row, which is the daily line graph right here. Underneath this graph, we'll copy paste this. Perfect. So we have our graph, and under this row, under the graph row, we have the buttons. So let's copy paste all the buttons here in the two columns like this. And then in the last one, we have our text that is going to change as we change the callback, as the data updates. Perfect. All right, so now if we save it, it will automatically run because it's in debug mode true. And you'll see that we have this graph that's in the indicator. It's going to be on top here. This line graph that's empty, right? We're going to have a line graph in there, and then the buttons and the text. Now let's make it a little bit nicer. We're not going to focus too much on the styling. We're going to do styling at the very end, but let's make it a little bit smaller so it's not a gigantic card like that. All right. So the first thing, there's multiple ways to do that. The way I did it, I styled the width, and I added some a class name to the card itself, to the end of the card, outside of the card children. So copy that and then go all the way to, you see how it says card on top? you put comma, space, and then just these two parameters. The style parameter says it's going to be 24 rem, and the class name, this means margin top 3 units of space in the top margin. So if you save this, and again, this is right outside the DBC card, make sure it's outside the DBC card children and not the column or the card image. So if you go back to our website, our new app, now you see that it's a lot smaller. It's 24, and there's space here on top. You see this is 3 MT3, 3 units of space. Okay, another thing we're going to do to make it a little bit prettier, we're going to add width and justify to the main row of the first row of the whole card. So width 6 and justify center. Let's see. Justify center will go for the whole row, so it's going to go right here. You see on top how it says, oh no, that's not it. We made a mistake. That will be the width. This will be the DBC row. You see on top it says DBC row. This will be justify center, and the column that's right under the row, outside of the children of the column right here, go all the way to the bottom. Here's where you put width 6, because you want the width of you don't need more than 6 columns because the card is small. So just 6 columns. And justify center of the main row that houses everything, it means that the card is going to move into the center right now. It was in the left, and now it's in the center, about 6 columns wide. All right. Perfect. Let's see if there's any other things we can add. We added we added it. Perfect. We added everything. So now let's add this interval, and this interval component outside of the last row, so outside of the center, comma. Don't forget your commas. Make some space here. This is an interval that we're going to use to update the app every 5 seconds. All right, add that. Perfect. So we have everything. The interval is invisible. You can't see it. Now that we have our app ready, now let's create this. This is going to be the percentage that's going to change. Okay, it's important to understand what this is going to do. We're going to take the API data on Tada that we downloaded 2 days ago, or that's 2 days old, and we're going to take the rate of the price, the high price of the Tada stock when the day began. Here is 227, and when the day ends, and then we're going to compare them. If it went down from beginning to end, then it's going to be red and the arrow is going to be down. If it went up, then it's going to be green, and it's going to calculate the percentage. So this is, like I mentioned, this is the indicator component of Plotly. And you can see a few examples here of how this is made. So I already made it for you. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's actually go into the callback first, like this. Copy paste the first callback. I ran a little bit too far ahead, and look at the callback before we go into the indicator. So to create the indicator, we're saying create a callback where the input is going to be the n intervals. It's going to be the number of intervals of the DCC interval components. So this will end. This is going to be this. This argument inside the function of the callback refers to the n intervals. So when we load the app, this is going to be 0. And after 5 seconds, you see it says here 5-second intervals. After 5 seconds, this is going to be 1. And then after 5 seconds, it's going to be 2, and so on until the end of time. So, but we have to call this we have to have an argument in here called timer. And then we'll do something with a figure, and we'll return, we'll build the indicator figure, and then we'll return this figure, right? We got to call it something. Let's call it just an empty dictionary right now. Let's assign an empty dictionary to this figure. And then we're going to return this figure to the figure component, the component property of this ID. And this ID is right here. Right here is the graph. It's a graph component. This is the ID, and it refers to the component property, refers to the figure. So when we build a figure indicator with the data, it's going to replace this empty dictionary. So let's do that. Let's do that right now. I'll go back to the callback function, and let's build this figure right here that will build the indicator. So now go into the GitHub one last time and just copy paste everything inside the callback function. Okay. From there, let's erase this and just copy paste. All right, and then enter here, so it's a bit bigger. So let's see what is happening here. Let me explain this to you so it's easy for you to understand. The first thing we're doing is we're taking the data frame that we built above, the global data frame that we downloaded from the API, or we download into a CSV database, and we filter so it's only the high prices. It's only these prices right here. Only the, let's see, like this. It's only the high prices. We're only taking this part of the data frame. We're taking that, and then we're just going to reverse the order of it. You see, the order of this was first 8 o'clock, and then 6, and then 4, and then 3 p.m. We're just going to reverse the order so it's easier to graph, and it just makes more sense. So it's going to start with the earliest time and end with the latest time. And then we're going to define a day start object and a day end, because we need to compare inside the indicator to see the percentage difference to arrive to this number right here. The 22% needs to compare the first value with the last value in the data frame. So that's what we do here. We're saying the day start value is going to equal the data frame, the reverse data frame, where the date column equals the minimum date, right? The minimum date inside this data frame is the earliest date. The date that starts, I think, at 2:27 p.m. That is the earliest date. If you had an 9 a.m., then this will be the earliest date. So it's going to take this date, and we're going to call that. It's going to take this data frame, and it's going to take the rate column from this data frame, and the only value inside there, because it's only one row. And it's going to be day start. That's going to be the value day start. And you can actually print. Let's actually print here so you can see what it's printing out. Print day start and print day end. You can always print inside a function and see what it gives you. Let's open this and make this a little bit bigger so you can see. So you see it's the day start is 13.42, and it ends with 13.39. It ends with 13.39. You can also see it on the Excel sheet if you downloaded your Excel sheet, your data into CSV. So 13.42 and 13.39. This is 13.39 because this is 13.39 because this is the rate of the last or max date of the day, which I think is 8 o'clock at night. This was the rate for 8 o'clock at night. So now that we have these 2 days in there, now we can actually build a figure. And this figure is Plotly Go objects. And because it doesn't exist in Plotly Express. And we're building the indicator. And in the indicator, we have 3 different parameters. The mode is delta. You can do delta plus number. Number plus delta or delta plus number. And you can see like the number next to it, which refers to this right here. This big number and this big number. But I don't want to see the big number difference. I just want to see the percentage. I'm going to see only delta. The value is going to come, the values we're going to calculate is the end value, which it was 13.39, and is going to compare reference to the day start value. It's going to compare to 13.42. Relative true, meaning it's going to give you the percentage and not the value, just a percentage, with I'm formatting it so it's 2 decimal points. All right. So if you actually, you know this works because you know if you open your calculator, if you do 13.42 minus 13.39, it's a difference of 0.03. If you divide that by 13.42, you will get 0.002 decimal points, which if you see in percentages equals minus 0.22%. So this is how much it went down from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So this is what we did here, right, with this delta figure. Now to what I did a little bit so it fits, the screen, is the first row is delta font. I update the traces so the delta font size is 12. So this right here is 12 size font, and it's not too big, because if it's 30 or 40, this will go back to the second row and it's going to look all jumbled up like we saw at the very beginning. And this is the height of the width of the layout, again because I wanted a very small graph to fit this row right here. All right. Once I did that, I'm going to do this as well. This is going to change the color. The color of the delta is through the update traces delta increasing color and delta decreasing color. These are 2 parameters inside the updated traces that you can use for this indicator. The green one, I'm going to say if day end, if the value of the day end, 13.39, is bigger or equal to the value of day start, then the stock went up from the beginning of the day, and this will be green. But if not, if it's smaller, like in our case, then the stock went down, which means it's red. And you can test it to see if it works, because you can say, instead of day end, which is 13.39, let's put 14.5 and save it. So this means the stock went up from 13.39 here to 14.5, which means it's supposed to be green, and calculate a new percentage. So let it run. And now you'll see, oops, forgot to save that. It's right here actually. Now you'll see it's 8%. The arrow went up because 14.5 over 13.39 is an 8% increase. And now it's green because we added this line of code to make it green. All right, and then we print out our fig after we update everything. We print out the full figure. Again, this full figure, let's close this. This full figure will go into this component property of this ID, which is right here, this empty dictionary. So instead of this empty dictionary, it will actually put a figure in there. Okay, this is actually what's happening in the back end. Perfect. So I want to stop here because I provided a lot of information in this tutorial, and I want to give you an opportunity to practice and change things and ask me questions. Go into YouTube under the video. If you have any questions or doubts or misunderstandings, let me know and I'll try and help you. If you want access to what we're going to do next week we're going to complete this dashboard, this card. We're going to actually create the graph here, and we're going to create this right here. So if you go here, this is going to be the final result. We're going to create a graph that plots the line chart of the day, adds colors of green and red if it goes up, and this text below the buttons are also going to change. So it's green or red or neutral white if it goes up or down or stays the same. For those eager beavers that want to see the whole code, I do provide the whole code here, the finance app code in my GitLab. I do offer this GitLab as part of my perks to those that support me and help me in promoting my mission, which is to help others build their careers in data analytic web apps in Python, in pure Python. So if you'd like to support me, click the blue join button below the video, or go into my Patreon, and I will be very, very grateful. You also get access to different community posts and get a one-on-one consultation with me for a very, very low price. So this is the full code if you are interested. And this is what we're going to build next week. I would like to eventually I'm open to eventually creating the whole dashboard. So if or big parts of it. So if you would like me to create a sidebar, or sign up might be difficult because I have to connect to a database, but it might be possible. Or to create this here, or other, I don't know, like this filter box. Let me know. Put your comments below the video. Let me know what you would like to see next, and I will try to create what most of you would like to see so I can best serve you. Thank you very much for following this video. Thank you for watching me and following the channel. I hope you have a great, wonderful weekend and a good next week.